We begin tonight with aggressive and even threatening phone calls from criminals impersonating IRS agents. Calls like these.
Thank you for calling Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation Division.
I am the Internal Revenue Officer from the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service.
I am Officer Julie Smith from Internal Revenue Service.
Well, calls like these surging in recent months, with nearly 3,000 victims getting swindled out of $14 million. We're here with the list of the dirty dozen tax scams. Peter Dunn, a financial planner, radio host, and author of the book Your Money Life. Peter, I've been covering taxes for a long time, and I always say to people, presume Uncle Sam is a technological idiot, that the only thing he knows how to do is write a letter.
Yeah, in this case, Tracy, what Uncle Sam knows what to do, or the fake Uncle Sam, is to change the caller ID settings. So when you get a call in from these people, it appears it's coming from the IRS. And in so much, what they're also doing on their follow-up calls is they're changing the caller ID to be your local police department to scare you in to calling them back and taking their calls and giving them your hard-earned money.
I have to tell you, I've heard these stories. As a matter of fact, there's a producer here at Fox whose dad got some of these phone calls and got so nervous, didn't know what to do. People should know, though, that the IRS will contact you by letter first, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, nothing raises your blood pressure like getting a letter from the IRS. That should be enough to scare you. And that should be your first point of contact. I wish I could say this for 3 minutes over and over and again, Tracy, and it's very simple. If you get a call from the IRS, listen to them, take notes, but then go to irs.gov, find the phone number and call them yourself. Never call someone back from the IRS at the number they leave you, because it's probably not the IRS.
That is a great point. And actually, this is such an important topic. We have a full screen of things that the IRS will never, ever do. One of them, as you said, they'll never contact you flat out without calling you first, but they're never going to demand an immediate payment, right? I think that's the thing that scares people the most. You must pay me now, or we're calling the local authorities.
I can keep my head in most situations financially, but the thought of the IRS putting a little pressure on you, again, it freaks you out. So you want to resolve it as soon as possible. You don't want any problems for the rest of your life. And so what ends up happening is a lot of people are forced to go get prepaid debit cards, Tracy, and use these debit cards to make the payment. And at that point, the game is lost. You've lost, and the scammers have gotten away and made you part of that $14 million they've taken in the last 15 months.
Yeah, let's be clear. There's no one mafia-like at the IRS. No one is going to come banging on your door, old school Uncle Vinny demanding money. Also, too, if you ever get someone to ask you for a credit card number, right? Absolutely do not give it. Debit, credit, do not give it out.
And not at all. I mean, and plus what they'll do a lot of times is they'll say they know the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, and they want you to repeat it to confirm. Now, I would have fallen for stuff like this when I'm under stress from time to time, but you just can't do it. And unfortunately, during tax season, targeting the elderly, we're getting at people at their worst time to take these sort of tricks. And so everyone needs to talk to a generation up and a generation down within your family and let them know that this is really common now.
It's a great point, because it's the elderly, I think, who are scared the most. But even there were scams back in those days, too. People stealing W-2s right out of mailboxes and filing returns on their own. This stuff's been going on for the test of time.
It really has. I mean, to bring it close to home, and honestly, in the last week, I've had my identity stolen from someone in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I've had someone call my house and say they were from my computer company and they wanted to verify my Social Security number, and that's in the last 168 hours. Technology is taking over fraud.
It sure has. And if this does happen to you, and Peter mentioned going to the site to get numbers, but Peter, also go to this website, tigta.gov, right? We also have the ftc.gov on the website. But report this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, take down the details, anything they tell you, any numbers, and you can pass that along to the proper authorities, not the fake authorities that they act like they are when they call you back a second time. Protect your neighbors, too. Take down information so it doesn't happen to anyone else.
And please, try to pay electronically. I remember back in the day when I was doing returns, no one should ever make the check out to the IRS, because the I easily becomes an M, and then it becomes, well, Mrs. Byrnes, and I go cash it. Peter, thank you so much for your insight on this.
My pleasure.
So